If you're in your 20s and you don't know what to do with your money, then this is the perfect video for you. Because in today's video, I'm gonna be telling you what you need to do with your money, especially if you're in your 20s. Now, when you're in your 20s, you're not making a lot of money. Let's be honest. You're making maybe $20, $25 an hour because you're getting into a lot of entry-level jobs. But we can still invest, we can still save, and we can still be masters of our money if we can focus on the things I'm going to be talking about today. In your 20s, you're going to want to grow your income. You want to make sure that we're growing our income year by year or quarter by quarter. We want to make sure that our income is always going up every single year. We cannot stay stagnant and making the same amount of money that we made a year or two ago, because inflation's on the rise and our incomes need to be on the rise as well. Now, it's hard to keep your income up with the rate of inflation. To be honest, any raise in income would be great. But what are some ways that you can focus on building your income? Maybe you can go back to school. Now, there are definitely some degrees out there that are not worth the money. But if you're going to school for maybe nursing or going to school with a focus on computer science or biology, maybe you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, then definitely look into the cost of going to school compared to the amount of money that you'll make coming out. Or you can invest into yourself and look into courses. Of course, there's a lot of scammers out there on courses, but there are some courses and some programs that you can take that will help you build your income and get into other fields. But even at the job you're at, we need to take promotion seriously. Just because we're in our 20s doesn't mean that we can't go and promote and become supervisors and managers. So apply for those promotions. You can still be a millionaire through your 9 to 5. The 9 to 5 is not dead. Climbing the corporate ladder is definitely an option to reach your financial freedom. The amount of money that you earn can really help you reach your financial goals faster because you'll be able to invest more, save more, and spend more money in places that matter to you. Another thing that you're going to want to do with your money in your 20s is build your emergency fund. It's never too early to build your emergency fund because you never know when emergencies will happen. Of course, in your 20s, you may have less emergencies because you don't have as much responsibility. And also building that emergency fund help build that muscle for saving. So you already know how to save because you built this emergency fund of $5,000 to $10,000 to $15,000. If you don't know how to calculate how much you need for an emergency fund, I like to say you need between 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. Now, we're talking about your mortgage, bills, credit card payments. Anything that you need to live is going to be factored into that number, and this number can be pretty high. And like I said, it might be $5,000 to $10,000 to $15,000, just depending on how much money you need to fund your lifestyle. Me personally, I think that you need to build your emergency fund, at least build a 1 month or 2 month buffer before you start investing and paying off your loans, because anything could happen, and you want to have that money set aside so that when emergencies do happen, you're not relying on your credit cards or your investments to pay those off. And also, when you're building your emergency, make sure that you keep your money in a high yield savings account. It is 2025 and there's no need to have a normal savings account. Now, I have some links to some high yield savings accounts in the description below, so click on some of those down there. One of my favorites is Ally Bank. It's a super fluid platform and I've been with them for a very long time. So make sure you have your money in a high yield savings account because you can still get that 3 to 4% a month return on your money just by having it parked in a high yield savings account. Third thing that you want to do with your money in your 20s is to start investing now. It is never too early to start investing. Actually, the earlier you start investing, the better, because then you can take advantage of compound interest. We love compound interest, and the earlier you can get your money in there, the earlier it can start building and building. Before you know it, you will be a millionaire if you contribute a certain amount of money for a certain amount of time. But starting off, you don't need to contribute a lot of money to your investments. Contribute $50 to $100. I wish I would have started investing in my early 20s or my late teens with just $50 to $100. Who knows where I would be at right now? I mean, imagine investing $1,200 a year for 4 to 5 years before you even get that real adult job where you can start investing even more money. Also, be sure to take advantage of your employer match, especially if your job offers it. This is free money that you could be leaving on the table. So if your job says if you put in 5% towards your 401k, you put in 5%, that's a 10% return on your money just for you to put in 5%. So don't leave that free money on the table. It can make a big difference in the end. Now, where can you invest your money? I recommend that you open a Roth IRA. Roth IRAs are perfect because you can contribute up to $7,000 a year. And if you ever have to take out your contributions, which you probably shouldn't, you can do that tax-free, penalty-free. So Roth IRAs, all post-tax dollars. You can invest into anything you want. You can invest into any stock that you're passionate about. You can invest into the S&P 500, all kind of things you can invest in. You can look up on ChatGPT what you should invest in, or just go on Google and you'll find some good investments for your Roth IRA. Remember, invest $100, $200, $50 a month, whatever you can. You need to start now and early so that you can reach your financial freedom sooner than the retirement age. The fourth thing you want to do with your money is to learn how to budget. In your 20s is when we should be setting the foundation for our financial knowledge and our financial future. If you learn how to budget in your 20s, then you will be set up for your 30s, your 40s, and your 50s and on. We want to learn how to budget. One of the best budgets out there that I talk about is the 50-30-20 rule, which is basically saying 50% of money towards your needs, you put 30% towards your wants, and 20% towards saving, investing, or paying off debt. And when it comes to budgeting, we need to automate everything. I always say this: automation is truly the key to wealth. And if we're able to automate our investments, we're able to automate our savings, we're able to automate our debt payoff or our bills, then we don't have to worry about them every month, and we can put more focus towards other things like gaining more money or looking for better investments. So we want to automate everything. Look up how to automate your bills, look up how to automate your savings. There's videos out there, there's articles out there. Automation should be the first thing you do in order to save and invest as much money as possible. So it's really a game changer. Factor automation into your finances. And we need to crush high interest debt. So we're talking about credit cards. You're in your 20s. To be honest, I don't think you should have any credit card debt. You shouldn't have that much expenses. And if you can't afford it, then don't buy it. And if you don't have credit card debt and you're watching this in your 20s, don't go into credit card debt. It's literally setting your future up for failure, because you're going to be in credit card debt for your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, and you're going to always be in credit card debt. So we want to make sure that we stay out of credit card debt. But if we are in credit card debt, we need to crush this credit card debt. This might be the first thing you need to do after you get your emergency fund of maybe a month or two. We need to pay as much money towards our credit card debts as possible. Now, why do we need to do this? Because the credit card interest rates are at 15, 20, 25, 30%. And if you were to invest that money, maybe in a 7 to 10 to 12% return on your money. So you're losing so much money by just having this credit card debt. So we need to get out of it as soon as possible by throwing money towards these credit cards. Now there's two methods that I know of that you can use to pay off these credit cards. There's the debt snowball. The debt snowball is you pay off the lowest balance first. Now the avalanche method is you pay off the highest interest rate first. Now the avalanche method is probably the best way to pay the least amount of money, because you're paying off these high interest rates first. So you can choose whichever one, it's up to you, but just choose a method, stick to it, and pay off your debt as soon as possible. At the end of the day, we need to throw as much money towards this debt so we can get out of it super quick, so we can start investing and enjoying our life. The sixth thing we need to do with our money in our 20s is to build your credit score. Now your credit score is important when it comes to applying for loans. The only loans out here that's worth applying for is a car and a home loan. Car loans, you definitely have to be careful and follow certain car buying rules. I like the 23-8 rule, where it says you put 20% down on a car, you finance it for 3 years, and it should be no more than 8% of your income. So if you can follow those rules, then a car loan makes sense. For a home loan, now a lot of people can't afford $200,000 or $300,000 house with cash. So we rely on our credit. By having a better credit score, you get a better interest rate. Someone that has a bad interest rate might get a 7%. Someone that has a good interest rate might get a 6.5%. It's really not that much different. You definitely want to download Credit Karma just so you can see how much debt you have and to check your credit score. And we want to avoid some common money traps. The first money trap is buying a car that you cannot afford. I see this all the time. Now, I don't know if people can actually afford the cars that they have. I see a lot of young people with these nice brand new cars. I'm like, how much do you have invested into your accounts? How much are you investing every month? How much are you saving every month? How are you able to afford this nice brand new pickup truck? These pickup trucks are going for $50,000, $60,000, and this person is 24. You just got this job, but you want to be sure to not buy a car that you cannot afford, because a car is literally just for transportation. It gets you to point A to point B, and it's a depreciating asset. So you want to make sure that you're not stuck into some 5-year loan at $700 a month, because that's just taking so if people can actually afford the cars that they have. But I see a lot of young people with these nice brand new cars, and I'm like, how much do you have invested into your accounts? How much are you investing every month? How much are you saving every month? How are you able to afford this nice brand new pickup truck? I mean, these pickup trucks are going for $60,000. These pickup trucks are going for $50,000, $60,000. And this person is 24. You just got this job. I don't know. But you want to be sure to not buy a car that you cannot afford, because a car is literally just for transportation. It gets you to point A to point B, and it's a depreciating asset. So you want to make sure that you're not stuck into some 5-year loan at $700 a month. That's just taking so much money from you, and that money can be invested into your future and can work towards you retiring earlier than you're supposed to. And another money trap is YOLO spending. Just spending money, spend money, because you have no future plans. We want to make sure that when we're spending strategically. We want to make sure that when we're spending, we know what we're buying. We're not just out here buying stuff just because. Most times in your 20s, you're not going to be making that much money. So we want to definitely be good stewards of our money and not just have wasteful spending. And co-signing for others, whether it's a family member or a friend, if you do co-sign for something, make sure they're a responsible person. If they do not have the ability to pay for whatever product you co-sign for, then you're held liable on it. And we don't want to add any more complications to our situation. And another common mistake is thinking you have a lot of time. You just turned 20, you just turned 21. I have plenty of time to invest. I'm just going to go out and spend my money how I want. And then before you know it, you're 30 and you have not started investing yet. And then you start getting serious about your credit card debt. And you start getting serious about investing, but you already missed a decade that you could have been investing. It's never too early to invest. Now, I'm glad I started investing more heavily about 4 years ago, and my investment accounts are looking pretty decent for my age. So you want to start investing as soon as possible and kind of get this money working for you and compounding in the market. And the 8th thing that you want to do is learn a new money skill every year. There's so much things and so much nuances when it comes to money, and you can never learn enough. So go out there on ChatGPT, type in, teach me a new money skill. There's many books out there. There's many YouTube videos out there, different money skills that you can learn. You want to be knowledgeable when it comes to money. You want to be knowledgeable when it comes to loans, when it comes to interest rates, anything about money. You want to be knowledgeable because literally the world runs on money. Our lives run on money, and we need to be comfortable with talking about it and comfortable with managing it. The 9th thing we're going to want to do with our money is to think about the long term. We need to start thinking about retirement. Like I said, just because you're in 20s doesn't mean that retirement is not right around the corner. Life flies. Things happen, and we want to start thinking long term. We want to start having our investment plans. If we're saying we're going to invest $200 for the next 30 years, then we're going to need to do that. If we're going to say we need to invest $1,000 for the next 30 years, we're going to need to do that. So we want to have an investment plan that we can follow throughout our life. So we want to plant those seeds early for our retirement so that we can stay focused and we can know what we're actually striving for. Older self will thank you for the sacrifice that you're making today by investing for your future. And the last thing we need to do with our money in our 20s is to house hack. I house hack, and I think house hacking is one of the best things that you can do with your money. If you're able to get into a house hack, your finances will literally change for the better. So what is house hacking? House hacking is living in a duplex, living in a 3-family or 4-family, or even living in a single family home, and you rent out the other units. So us, for example, we have a duplex, we live in the bottom and rent out the top, and the mortgage is paid by the tenants. That is where the hack comes in, because you're not fully paying the mortgage. It is subsidized by someone else. House hacking is basically having a roommate. When you're able to lower housing, that is one of the keys to financial freedom, because you have so much extra money put in other places. To be honest, housing is your biggest expense, and if you're able to cut that down or cut that out completely, then you're definitely going to be winning, especially if you put that money towards investing. You can reach your financial goals super quick if you really focus on investing. Like, imagine if you stayed in this house forever paying nothing. We could then put that money that will go to a $1,000 mortgage or a $1,500 or $2,000 payment. We can now put that money to investing. So imagine a couple makes a lot of money, right? And they're able to rent an apartment for a payment of $3,000. But now they're house hacking. Let's say, and it's covered the entire mortgage. Instead of paying $3,000 towards the mortgage or the rent, whatever you want to use, they're going to put $3,000 towards their investments monthly for about 10 years. They will have $548,000 in their investment account just by putting $3,000 towards their investments instead of putting that money towards their mortgage. This is insane how house hacking can work, especially if you have a high income. So look into house hacking. I know different markets cost for different prices. House hacking is one of the best things I think anyone can do. Look into how to do it. I'm not going to go super in depth on how to house hack. One of the best things that you can do when it comes to investing into your future. House hacking is truly an amazing way to lower your living expenses. So if you're in your 20s, it's time to start building your foundation. It's not going to be perfect, but you need to be intentional when it comes to building wealth in your 20s. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did, leave a like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below if you're in your 20s and what you're doing to build wealth. And I will see you guys in the next video.